Oh, welcome to episode one of the TOGCast. Episode one of a series that we hope will continue for the foreseeable future, talking about what's happening in TOG and around the gaming marketplace and industry at large.
So who are we? I mean, I'm Gavor. I've been at TOG for so long I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure I joined in 2003, and yeah, no, I've been through the whole rigmarole of just being somebody who didn't want to be in an admin team or a mod or anything for many years until one day I was pretty much press ganged into doing it.
So I'm Foxman. I've been an admin with TOG now for a few years. Joined back in 2007, I want to say, with Battlefield Bad Company 2
Mm-hmm.
and PlanetSide 2, if
Mm-hmm.
I remember rightly. I joined TOG with Bad Company 2 because I got sick of being railed by TOG members on the servers, and I was like, "Fuck these guys! I'm going
They're
to
the
join
worst.
and be on the right side."
Yeah, which
So,
turned out to be
yeah, that
false.
was a long time ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, yes. What a bunch of. Well,
Yep.
anyway, moving on.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well,
So I guess between the two of us, we've got a good 20 plus years of,
add it all
oh,
up,
actually
it's like a
closer to 40
whole
years, really.
lifetime. Correct.
It's, yeah, scary,
Closer to your
actually.
age, but further away from my age than I'd like to admit.
Let's not get into the details of that, though, shall we?
I'm half of something very soon. Anyway, um, well, you've
So
been,
what
you've
is
been, yeah. You tell us what is TOG? You've been an admin for longer
what
than
is
I
TOG?
have. So
Yes, obviously, most members watching this will probably have a fair idea of TOG already, but we've had an influx of newer members over the last couple of years who probably aren't so familiar with our history, and of course, anyone watching who's not a member. Who the hell are we? TOG, the older gamers for short, TOG, was founded back in about 2002, 2003 by Father, as he's known, and originally based out of Australia. Grew with membership across Australia and New Zealand for a number of years, and eventually became something of a global community based on a website, web forums. The idea being to provide a space for older gamers. We
mhm.
used to say 25 plus, effectively, and get away from the smack talk, the kids, the squeaky voices, so to speak, as it was back in the day. Many of ourselves probably experienced those squeaky voice days directly. So
I was one of them.
the community has gone from strength to strength over the years, although there have been a lot of changes in our structure.
Of course.
Obviously, the web forums are no longer a thing. We're now primarily Discord based, but the core principle remains the same. We're a community focused on providing a space for older gamers to collaborate, communicate, share thoughts and ideas, and obviously play games. So
Yeah.
that's what we're here to talk about.
Let's talk about games then, right? So we wanted to come along and we wanted to talk about games. So let's talk about TOG first. Obviously, there's a lot of TOG gaming that goes on. It's going to be hard to cover. Hopefully, we can get more people to come along and maybe not come along and be guests straight away, but give us feedback, right? We're talking about actually
Absolutely.
getting other people's views, and then we'll just talk about it. So let's talk about our racing league. So there is a TOG Racing league. There's a lot of people who do
Yes.
racing, right? But there's one,
Yeah.
literally, they're doing semi-professional, organized. They're in an organized league. I don't know how you'd call it, not being a professional, but anyway, organized amateur league. They're called Absolute Debacle Racing, and they race in GSRC GT4 League. It's the Gentlemens SimRacing Club Incorporated, which is in iRacing. Am I correct?
iRacing, correct.
Sorry, it is
Yeah.
an iRacing. I just had a complete mental blank now.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a Sunday when we're recording this, and Sundays are not good for my brain.
Likewise.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not great. So I think they've done 2 or 3 races, and there's maybe 3 of them that are doing it regularly, or 4. I know Ninja does it, and Kerry does it,
Yes. And
and
Shrubbo. So
Shrubbo
they're
does
the,
it. I
the
think it's the
core
3.
the
Yeah,
core three
yep.
drivers, I believe. Yeah.
Their own liveries. I've watched them. They get streamed live. Not only do they get streamed live, they also have commentators, which is pretty cool. I've watched one of their races
Very
from
cool.
beginning to end, which was really good. I think they got a lot more takers than when I tried to get people to watch me playing football streamed live with commentary, but probably because old people playing football was not of much interest. But it was really
Niche
cool.
market. Niche
It
market.
was a very niche market. Market I probably don't want to think about. But no, it was actually really cool. Like, I really enjoyed watching it. The commentary was good. The organization was good. They'd obviously done a lot.
Well, those guys have been racing together now for the better part of a
Ages.
year and a half, two
Probably
years
more.
maybe.
Yeah.
Just casually, yeah, probably more. We
So,
had TOG servers for a while for Assetto
mhm.
Corsa. I think we also had one for Automobilista 2 for a while. So the
I played a
racing
set of
has
Corsa.
certainly been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never dropped off. They have
the racing has
regular
certainly
Thursday
been
nights.
around for a
Mm.
while,
Yeah,
and kicking it off into an organised league is fantastic. I think it's really brilliant that those guys are
they've
cracking on
joined
with
in.
it. It's really
Yeah.
cool to see.
Another one's obviously kicked off, and I'm going to hand this straight to you because it's been quite popular. We were just looking up on SteamDB to see what it was at. Is Arc Raiders.
Arc Raiders, yeah, that has blown up since it released at the end of last month. Still in the top 5 on Steam, I think now.
Yeah.
What is it? Two and a bit weeks later, seems to be hitting a consistent peak of about 450,000 players, which is pretty impressive for an extraction shooter of that type.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I
TOG
chucked it.
has jumped on board big time. I think we've got
Mhm.
somewhere around the region of 40 plus members who are active in the game, which is a pretty huge launch. The general feedback seems to be fantastic. Third person
Yep.
extraction's not quite my jam, but I can see the appeal. The art
It's the
style's
only problem
great.
with
The
it.
setting is fantastic.
Sounds like the gameplay is
Yeah, I
good.
agree. That was the only thing that put me off it was the third person. For an extraction shooter, that just doesn't jive with me. But
Same for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everything else about it though looks great, and clearly it has really hit the mark for a lot of people.
Bit of a surprise. I
Really
was really
impressive.
surprised. Yeah, really impressive. But I
Mm.
was super surprised that it was so popular because so many people have tried to do it. So many people have tried to kick in on the Arc Raiders thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah,
So Delta
yep,
Force has done it.
definitely. And,
And what's the one that just came out? We're going to talk about it actually a little bit later. Arena Breakout. So Arena Breakout Infinite came
oh
out,
yes, of
which
course,
is a
yes.
good game, but it obviously hasn't taken off like this has.
There seems to be something about it that has that combination of style mechanics,
Yeah.
that kind of almost lightning in a bottle moment, right?
Yep.
The whole phenomenon around extraction shooters has just been sitting waiting for that one game to really take off. Tarkov has
Well,
been the
mm,
king, so to speak, for many years, but of course not on Steam, so its market appeal was limited. And there's been a lot of pretenders over the years that have tried to do a similar thing, but so far none have really struck it big on that particular gameplay style. Arc Raiders seems to be, I don't know if it is the golden ticket, so to speak, but it certainly seems to be going down the right track so far.
yeah. Of course, Tarkov has just dropped on Steam, and I would not say
It has,
not
and
proven to be popular, but the numbers aren't massive. But it was only very recently, yesterday or the day before, and they had a lot of problems.
yes, yesterday it was,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and they had a lot
yeah,
of
a
problems,
lot of
which
problems, and
old players have actually said, this is what happens every time they drop it, like a new big release with a
that's
wipe.
right,
Everything's screwed, like for
yeah.
days on end. So it's just not unexpected for them, but obviously got
It,
right in the middle of an audience that was probably playing Arc Raiders and went, "Hey, here's that cool new one. It's actually on Steam. Let's give it a go." Oh, it doesn't work. Fuck it.
the
Let's get back and play
time,
Arc
yeah,
Raiders.
the timing around that, I think couldn't have been worse for Tarkov. I mean,
No.
obviously the history Tarkov has is checkered, shall we say? Never mind getting into the political aspect
Yeah.
behind the scenes, but the way they've treated players around special editions of the game, the controversies
Oh.
around upgrading and not providing DLC, claiming it was an optional extra kind of thing with the
Mm-hmm.
PvE mode.
Yep.
There's been a lot of, I would say, bad blood that's sort
For
of
sure.
worked its way through that community. And
Yeah.
the Steam release, judging by the numbers so far, I think the last I saw it was under 30k on Steam for a brand new release. And I know
Just
most of the
having a
players are
look.
off Steam, of course, but
Mm.
30k's got to be a bit weak. I got to say the price
Yeah.
tag's not appealing for a lot of people either, compared to something like Arc Raiders. I think
Mm.
the
27,000
prospect
people.
just isn't as good.
Yeah, 27,000
Yeah,
people
there you
playing
go.
right now. And if you
That's
go by SteamDB, I'm
uh,
looking at SteamDB. The current review score, obviously it doesn't show it on Steam, but it shows on SteamDB, is about
mm.
33% of
Jesus, that's
positive.
worse than I thought. I saw it was about mixed, but yeah, that's pretty
That's
bad.
that's
Obviously,
starting to head
launch
towards
issues.
things. Yeah,
The
that didn't
game
help.
itself, as we both know, is pretty solid from a mechanics point of view.
Oh yeah, we've played a bit of
It's kind of all of the ancillary services around it that sort of bring it
it.
down. I feel
Absolutely.
funny
And
that.
let's come back to Tarkov because we want to talk about Tarkov and
Let's come
SBC.
back to that. We've got
So
more to say.
we'll circle back. Yeah, we've got more to say. Let's not get too sidetracked, which is probably going to happen a lot.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Battlefield 6. It's so yeah, Battlefield 6 that came out on the 10th of October, but of course it had a beta. It was a beta, wasn't it? Yeah, back in August. So I played it in the
Yes.
beta in August when they had a couple of small maps and didn't have all the content in. But it was good fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first weekend. It has been relatively popular, but I think you'll still find on most days there's quite a few people still playing it. So it's been I think it's been a successful launch. I don't know if EA is going to get the
I
numbers
think
that
it
they
is too.
wanted. They were talking about How many did they say? How many active players there were? Like 1 million or something? Their
I
numbers
think
beforehand,
that
they said,
was some of the number they were throwing around.
really
Yeah,
big
it's
number.
a little bit unrealistic, perhaps, but I don't
Top.
know. It seems that 6 has been probably one of the better Battlefield launches
Definitely.
in recent memory.
Fourth
So,
most played.
you know,
So if you look at the charts, fourth
there you
most
go.
played game on Steam right now is Battlefield 6, just after Arc Raiders. There's a bit of a gap between them. Because Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, and only above them, the only two above them, of course, is Dota and Counter-Strike, which are always going to be the top, right?
That's inevitable, isn't it? Will always,
yeah,
as it will always be.
Yeah, and I think, look, Battlefield 6 is good. It probably did go back to the roots. You got sick of the small maps pretty quickly, although I do enjoy a bit of chaos. But I have not bought in. And the reason I haven't bought into the full game, it probably something holding, and I know personally there's other people who are holding back, is the price. Because it costs an astronomical amount of Australian dollar to buy into buying Battlefield 6. And it comes down to the age-old thing. I've got a list of games that I want to play that's about this long, if not longer. I've just put it to the roof, right? And we're not going to get the value out of it.
I'm in pretty much the same camp, although I did try the beta like yourself. But for me, I just found it too frenetic, too chaotic. I don't mind chaos. I will clarify, I don't mind chaos, but it was, I don't know, to me it was just completely unbridled, undirected chaos, and I find that frustrating because the pace for me was just so intensely fast. And I think a big part of that was the tiny map meant that you turn a corner and your team was there a second ago and now it's the enemy, and it's like, well, what the hell just happened? Where did everyone disappear to? So the gameplay just didn't it didn't sit with me. I found it far too fast. I'm getting old, right? I just can't keep up with that pace anymore. The kids these days, you know, that can 360 no scope. You shut up. We don't talk about that.
I don't buy that. you're younger than I am. But
it's my excuse anyway.
It gets harder. Like I enjoyed the chaos. I accepted the fact I was going to die a lot, and I did lie a lot. And I think it was better in the first weekend, because everybody was new. Nobody had worked it out. We were all just going, is this good? Is this good? Everything was good. By the time it came to the second week, a lot of people had worked the game out. So
there was no meta game at that point, right? It was just everybody trying everything.
Just free for all, and shit was all over the place. When it was chaos, it was literal chaos. But the second weekend I played, I was getting killed all over the place, from all angles, from weird places. People had worked shit out. How to get up on roofs they shouldn't be on. What was the best combination of weapons? Everybody had the shotgun. No one played on the locked classes, like the locked weapons servers anymore. So
of course, that was a whole thing too. I remember the bit of controversy around that as well.
It was laughable. It was one of those laughable moments the first time I got into the game, and I noticed that they'd put the open weapons right at the very front. That was the button that everyone would press on, like when they first got into the game.
Of course.
Giant tile. And then you scrolled across one or two tiles to get to the closed, or whatever it was, the locked weapons. I can't remember what it's called now. Which I prefer, but
okay. Likewise,
we'll see. You know, there's supposed to be bigger maps now. I've not actually played them, so I can't comment. But it's definitely popular.
It certainly has, again, made a bit of a splash within TOG. I know we've got a pretty good core group. I think the voice channels are active most days. So, hey, got to love that, right?
Absolutely.
I'm much the same as you, though, that the price tag here in old Kiwi land is even worse than the $1 so the value prospect, I think, is a bit of a challenge for a lot of people. Although, if you've got EA, what is it, EA Play, the subscription, there's probably a fair value proposition there.
Definitely. Yeah, it is on that, isn't it? I guess it is. I haven't looked.
Well, it was. I presume it still is. I have to be honest. I haven't looked.
Probably is. That's all right. Yeah, I have not looked either. It's one of those ones I'm waiting for a sale. As soon as there's a sale, I've done it for every Battlefield except for 1942. Every other one I have waited until there was a sale, and then I bought into it, and then I played the hell out of it. So we'll get there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I may yet join you if you want somebody to run ahead and take the round so that you know where they came from.
Yeah, no, you can walk in front of the tank and find the mines for us. Speaking of walking in front of tanks and finding mines, tell us about our ongoing ARMA campaign. Let's just touch it. Let's not go too much into it, because it's something we both play, so you don't want to spend half an hour talking about it.
We could be here for hours.
One of our pet topics,
It is a whole thing. You're right. The landmines and tanks. There seems to be an abundance of those at the moment. So the ARMA crew, there's about eight or nine of us regulars, and probably 3 or 4 semi-regulars, which is fantastic. We've been running that now for nearly 4 years, I think, actually.
Really long.
If
Not
I
the same
think about
campaign.
it.
Not the same campaign. Just
No,
to
not the same campaign.
We have
to be clear,
played
no.
5 or 6 different campaigns over this time, all of which have
Yes.
been pretty good fun. Yeah.
Variety of eras and settings,
Playstyles.
anti-Stasi
Had a
and
lot of anti-Stasi.
guerrilla campaigns.
But the current one is not.
Middle East.
What's the current
No,
one
the
called
current
again?
one, I wanted to do something a bit different. We're playing in West Africa, Angola to be precise, during the mid-70s. So alternate history, and we're not getting into the political aspect, of course, because there was some pretty horrible stuff that went on. But effectively, we're staging an international intervention in what was the Angolan Civil War. So it's a unique opportunity. I think we're actually playing as Anzac soldiers, which is not something we've done before. So we've got some interesting equipment from Vietnam. We're sort of mixing in American and British units as well, and fighting against the Soviets, of course, the classic red enemy. And we're on, I think now, what about the 12th operation? So we've been going for about 3 months now, and making good progress. But oh boy, those Soviets love to throw tanks at us, and they love putting minefields where I don't expect them. I create the missions, but they still surprise me with the way that the AI commanders develop their own tactics and maneuvers. So it's been good fun.
Ridiculous. You know what's fun?
Yes.
What I find the most fun, I don't want to harp on about this one too much because we're going to end up talking all day about it. But what I enjoy is we actually have people, ex-military, who come and play with us, who use those era weapons. Who'll go, I remember in whenever with my squad, we have one of these. I used to use one of these. Experience with it.
I forget the nickname now. Famine is a classic example of that.
Yep.
Fantastic dude, and he's been in the group now for several years at least.
Most of the time, yeah, quite a while.
Most of the time, and he was an M60 gunner back in the day, and he here he is running around with the M60, and he talks about his particular weapon had a nickname, but I can't remember what it was. I'll have to ask
they all
him
had nicknames etched on the
the
receiver. Yeah, it's cool. He was telling us that they all had their own names for them, which was cool. So,
all had their own names for them. It's really it's good fun.
Should have noted that down because that's actually a great anecdote.
We
anyway, we'll come back with that.
We'll ask him on Wednesday.
You've played Arena Breakout?
Yes.
I've played Arena
several
Breakout.
times.
Yep.
Together we have.
I don't really know how to explain it. It's almost like Tarkov light, I think is how I explain it to people. It's like Tarkov with training wheels on it, and that it's very Tarkov.
Yeah.
It plays very similarly to it. It's not as hardcore, doesn't have all the same mechanics in it, right? But it's got all the quality of life stuff that Tarkov hates and refuses to put in. And it's so much easier to manage.
Big point of difference.
Which is a big point of difference. It's a lot easier to play, and it throws so much gear at you. It's ridiculous. It's almost like a poker machine that you never lose at. You pull the thing, and like all of this stuff comes out. Suddenly you're covered in guns and ammo, and it's just 100% lit all the time. You're always clicking on things, which can be a drag. I know you don't like it very much, having to go through.
I found that aspect
claim. I don't mind because I get everything covered in loot, which is brilliant.
The loot aspect was great. It was the layer upon layer upon layer of menus that annoyed the shit out of me because
events, missions,
like
missions. Everything. There's just so many, and they all had broken down into subsections. They'd be like events from this section and this thing and this thing, and some of them gave you coins and then there was the season type that you then sold, and then there was the season stuff. Yeah,
that's right. So, and you had to claim the coins, but then you had to spend the coins to get the token. It was a whole thing. The result was great because, as you say, you got piled with loot. I think within the first week or something of playing that, my storage was full because it just.
Mine's constantly
so many guns, vests, backpacks,
And if you couldn't be bothered, you just buy a kit. Right. You could buy the quick kits. So you I can't be bothered anyway. So you never ever run out of stuff, and you get to keep the kit up. Anyway, it was and
those kits, brilliant way to get into it for a new player because your risk profile is so much lower, isn't it?
Yeah, you just say to people like onboarding people was easier. Like Tarkov was a slog to onboard people because they're always like, why do I have to do this? Whereas on my stuff, oh my god, I've lost all my stuff again. Breakout was very much more like you get someone on board, and the first day they'd be like, how am I supposed to gear up? Press the quick kit button. Those layers and layers of stuff going on all over the place turn some people off. I don't know if that's the core thing, but that's what I heard from a lot of people. Like, it's confusing. Why don't I have much gear? I don't know, because all the gear is basically attained from doing the missions and the events.
Yeah. On the flip side, the actual gameplay once you got into a raid, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Although I did see from a technical point of view, and I don't know if this is entirely true or accurate, but speculation about the tick rate or the process speed on the servers, resulting in some very wacky, very wacky outcomes in certain situations with gunfights and high ping, low ping, combining with the tick rate, resulting in players not being able to see each other, but somebody dies. So, perhaps there's a bit of the back end infrastructure and netcode around that is not as good as it perhaps could be. But that aside, the gameplay was enjoyable. The guns worked nicely, had good sounds. Footstep sounds I found a little bit awkward. Sometimes the vertical detection of sound was not very good. But aside from that, I've enjoyed it. It was a good, as you say, more casual Tarkov, particularly the quality of life changes. Oh man, I wish Tarkov would actually do something about
take
menus.
Let's just really quickly talk about our Flashback review, and that is Space Engineers. So we've been playing Space Engineers. Actually, I'm going to handball it to you. You tell me, because you're running the server and you took the idea from the other Fox and
the other Fox, yes,
made it your own.
He suggested it as Space Engineers 2. Many of our viewers, listeners, all one or two of them at this stage, i.e. you and me, no doubt are aware of Space Engineers 2, obviously in early access development. Doesn't yet have multiplayer, and I think that's the main thing holding us back from really jumping into it, of course.
Well, I'd already have it.
So Fox... Well, there you go. Yeah. So Fox suggested we do a celebration of Space Engineers. I'm like, yeah, hell, actually, why not? It's been ages since I played it. Let's do it. So yes, fired up server, and there's been I think about 5 or 6 of us on there fairly regularly. Gluggy, Raptor, yourself, me, obviously, Fox, and I think we had who was it? Trekker, I think it was, for a little while. Yeah. We've obviously got the benefit now of nearly a decade and a bit in terms of community mods and script content. The resources available for the game are just incredible. Some of the entire operating systems, effectively, to automate an entire base or a ship. This shit is just crazy. I love it because you can go and do some really amazing things.
In terms of the game, it's still as good as it always was. It still plays the same as it always did. But obviously, over the years, it's got better, and it's got more stable. Works quite well. It's been a smooth experience. There's a lot of DLC, which I think is the big thing for me. Like, the DLC is cheap, like $7.50 Australian per piece, not on sale, which is fantastic. And they're all really good.
There's some really cool blocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I like about the DLC... No, exactly. I was just going to say, what I like about the DLC is that the equivalent DLC units are not usually better than the base game. They're similar, or in some cases slightly worse. The layout of the connectors may not be as good, for example, but variety, and that's what I love about it. There's lots of really cool different blocks. The game always was ambitious in scope. Obviously, had a lot of issues with the so-called clang. For those that don't know, that was the manifestation of physics issues around rotation and piston type devices and things. Moving parts effectively were often subject to sudden and catastrophic failure, coined as the clang god of physics, and it still exists, but it has, I think, been quite tamed relative to what it was a number of years ago. So that alone provides a lot more scope for some fairly interesting and complex devices. And the game has definitely improved. Personally, I'm really keen for Space Engineers 2 to add multiplayer so that we can get stuck into that, because some of the benefits that they're showcasing of the improvements there look amazing. So very keen to see that.
Yep, looking forward to the same game, but with new and better stuff. 100%.
Exactly.
That'll be definitely be a future review. But I'm like you, I'm going to hold off until multiplayer because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, likewise. We'll almost certainly have a server for that, I think, within TOG. I imagine that's going to be a no-brainer again.
I would say you'll get at least 5 or 6 people on board. The other game that's taking up all of my time, but we hate with the passion of 1,000 Fiery Suns, is War Thunder.
Yeah.
And
War Thunder. My God.
I don't really know how to start. If you don't know what War Thunder is, it started out as a flight simulator. So who was it again? Gaijin saw a niche in the market which had grown overly complicated. I'm not looking at DCS for any particular reason, but DCS. And people didn't want to place flight simulators as much anymore. Of course, they had never gone away. People were still into it, but they saw a market for one that was well simulated, looked good, played well, had all the multiplayer built in that people just dropped in and out of. And I think they called it something like World of Planes, or something very similar to the existing World of Planes.
It was along those lines from memory.
And
12, 13 years ago now.
Then they changed to War Thunder when they realized that people didn't understand the difference between the two games. Then they brought on the tanks, right? So then tanks came in. I don't know when that was, but there was that transition period. So I've played since 2011, I think, something like that. Way back at the start when it was all planes.
Similar for me as well. I'm pretty sure I've got the title, which is the pre 2012 player or something.
Yeah, I've got the
old guard. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Funnily enough, TOG. That's why I use it.
I always thought it was a TOG. Like when I came back, I thought that was a TOG thing that I joined, and there was all these people with the old guard. Like, I don't know these people from TOG.
Who the hell are you?
Turns out it's not the old guard. It doesn't do with TOG, but I've got that, and I played a lot of planes. I had some planes unlocked, and then I got bored of it. God knows when to something else. And between that and when I came back to start playing again, the tanks have been added. So tanks are what I play now, just the odd plane, and I'm going to hand it to you now. You can talk about planes.
It's very much a love-hate relationship, isn't it? Similar to you, I've been playing, or I have an account with War Thunder at least from 2011, 12-ish. I played it very early on with the tanks and I unlocked a few planes, but most of my early time was with tanks. So I think I got Germany up to battle rank 6 or something, which is about halfway through the progression tree. For those who aren't familiar with it, there's a series of battle ranks that you research and unlock. So I got about halfway through and then quit for a number of years and came back to it again last few years. Obviously, a whole heap more nations and tanks have been added. You've got the naval side of the game as well, which is kind of like the red-headed stepchild that they just sort of shut outside and ignore. So that's a bit sad. But yeah, it's very much a, I don't know, it's very much a frustration aspect for me. It's a great game in terms of the scope, but sometimes the execution and the marketing, the monetization leaves a lot to be desired at times. And Gaijin, it's a business obviously, but I really don't feel like they have particular interests in the well-being of the community insofar as actually making the game easier or better to play. But we still play an absurd amount of hours on that on a regular basis. I think
there was no technical difficulties whatsoever.
No,
This is a seamless continuation of the previous conversation, which was about Check's notes
and War Thunder.
Yeah.
And why we love to hate it.
You were going to tell me in a probably slightly succinctly, because I think we've already managed to get 45 minutes of recording down, but not too succinctly. You know what I mean? What it is about War Thunder that annoys you the most?
Planes.
Yeah, planes. Okay.
Planes in my tanks, at least. Like having planes I get it. War Thunder has planes, it has tanks, it has boats, it has ships. Rah, cool. But I want to play tanks.
True.
And I would love there to be just a tank mode where we don't have to worry about CAS aircraft coming in. And I get perverse joy in shooting down aircraft.
Of course.
Obviously, success rate depends on how skilled the pilot is. Some are better than others. But I just find that one of the most frustrating aspects, because in many cases, as a tank, you have zero counter to an aircraft that's got you locked into their zone. And I just find that really frustrating.
If you're not looking for them, they come along in the wrong time. They always seem to come along when you're having an excellent duel with somebody else. You're in the middle of, I don't know, fighting someone in a corner or having a bit of an artillery battle across 500 meters away, and a plane comes along.
Or you're battling over the cap zone, and it could go either way.
Cap zone.
And I don't know. I find one of the other things that frustrates me about War Thunder is that in, what are we now, 10, 12 years, the core gameplay loop around the battles hasn't changed. It's the same shitty maps with the same shitty corridors and the same shitty cap placements.
Where's the different game modes? There's
absolutely no diversity, and there are so many different ways.
Like Battlefield, you could have to push moving points. You have the moving front lines.
A front line that effectively dictates where the fighting goes, which means you fight over different parts of the map instead of some little circle 50 meters in diameter arbitrarily placed in the worst possible spot.
So let's talk about opinions. Not that we haven't expressed any opinions.
None whatsoever. Everything we have said so far is pure fact.
Pure, unadulterated fact. I can guarantee it. Don't look anything up on Wikipedia.
No, the truth according to TOG.
And just don't use Grokopedia at all. So what's coming from Valve? Like, okay, when I wrote this, and I am going to make it quick, and I'll kick it over to you because I'm a serial over talker.
No, you're right.
what's coming from Valve. I actually originally wrote that down, not because of the new hardware and everything that got announced, which most people already know about, and I am going to do the quick phone to you about that in a second. But because I'd heard that there was speculation about something coming out on or around the 19th to be announced, if not released, like suddenly a Valve, hey, look at this thing we've got that we never told you about before. And of course, everyone assumes that it's Half-Life 3. So I'm going to go ahead and call it that Half-Life 3 VR is going to be released, is 100% confirmed for the 19th of September. And then I'll pass it over to you.
November, you mean?
I don't know what I said. Did I say September?
September. Yeah.
So it's not
which
100%.
gives you any time in the future. So I mean that could be between now and the end of time. So prediction is true.
I didn't give a year. Now back to you.
So yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. Valve are notoriously tight-lipped about what they're working on. As we all know, their company structure is one of those weird flat structures where people do strange shit. But in the last few years, they have had some interesting hardware innovations. Obviously, Steam Controller was one of the early iterations. They had Steam Link, which was a few years back. Steam Deck more recently, which has been probably one of their most successful hardware launches ever, I would suggest.
If I had half a brain, I would have bought my controller out to my desk, because I have a Steam controller and I have a Steam Link, and I don't have a Steam Deck, but I do have a ROG Ally because I got caught up in the hype, and it is very cool. But when do I use it?
Well,
sometimes.
Some people seem to get good use out of them. I know a few folks who've swear by their Steam Deck, running all sorts of crazy things. Skyrim with mod lists, for God's sake. I mean, on a Steam Deck. I mean, that's a pretty tall order, but it works. So, and obviously then you had the Valve VR. What was it? The Valve Index, I think it was called.
Index.
Yeah. Yep. So they've had a pretty good run, or pretty good crack at a few different hardware devices. But the more recent announcement was pretty big news. The so-called Steam Machine. Yeah. Basically all-in-one self-contained PC box running effectively a Linux operating system, which for many people know, Valve have their own Linux branch, Proton, I think it's called. Yep. And built on AMD architecture, and they reckon that it runs 4K at 60 frames per second, which is an impressive claim, to say the least, competing with high-end console type material, PS5, Xbox Series X, for example. On top of that, of course, new Steam controller, which looks very interesting as well.
Looks way better than the old one. I wanted to love the old one, and I do like the way the old one works, but it was missing a thumbstick, which made it impractical.
Well, this potentially will resolve that gap. I mean, it looks like that's right. 2 trackpads, 2 thumbsticks. That's pretty cool.
I've got small hands, right? It's the reason you can't actually see it. Same reason why I struggle to play guitar very well. Power chords, right? The old one was way too big. It's like the original, the OG Xbox controller was too big for my hand. Like, it was just ridiculous. So you had to be. Steam controller was the same sort of thing. It wasn't very comfortable to hold.
I have the Xbox Elite controller, which obviously is the Xbox layout. I'm not such a keen fan of the offset sticks, but size-wise, that works well for me. The OG Xbox controller was much
the GameSir version of it. Is this the GameSir version?
There you go.
This is the GameSir version of it. It's the same sort of thing. I like the offset sticks. It's what I grew up with. But
that's fair.
The OG Xbox controller was huge. The Steam controller, the original one, was huge, and the new one actually still looks quite big. That's the only thing that concerns me. I'd like to pick one up first to see what it's like.
Yeah, I agree. It is hard to tell, though, because they don't really provide anything for scale in any of the pictures. If they put a banana alongside it, the universal measure of scale, we'd be fine. Because banana, great, I know what that means.
100%.
But that's cool. It's cool to see them continuing to innovate in that space, because
I'm glad they made one.
Controllers... Controllers for PC have been historically either absolute trash or reliant upon Xbox/PlayStation integration.
Xbox clones,
At least now Microsoft's integration with their controllers on Windows is a lot better than it used to be. But
it has that extra rocker thing on the back. Remember the Steam controller? Do you ever use one? It had the shoulder buttons, it had the triggers, and it also had an extra rocker type.
I don't know, but the Xbox Elite one has the additional paddles underneath. So you've got obviously the triggers, but the 2 extras underneath, which I don't think that existed on any of the other versions except the Elite.
No, just that one. Controller. I've forgotten about that. Yeah. The X, so the Steam, the original one had something like that on the back too.
Something's along those lines. Yeah, I never had one of the OG Steam ones, but I'm definitely interested in this one.
Yeah, me too.
And the other thing they've got, of course, is the new VR headset. Now, I don't know a heck of a lot about VR. I can't really use it because, unfortunately, I'm one of the 30% of the population that suffers from motion sickness. So
Here's my meta
VR
quest.
for me is a bit of a non-starter, sadly. So you're
Yeah.
probably better positioned to really say anything about
I won't
that.
say
It
very
looks
much
like they've
about
got
it,
some
yeah.
innovations, though.
They do. It looks really interesting. They've got and I'm going to get all the technical things wrong because I didn't think to write them down. But they've got a thing where the resolution's higher depending on where you're looking at. It's got the eye tracking, so
Eye tracking, that's right. I thought that was quite an interesting.
Makes it different. That's
change,
been
yeah.
around before. Thing is, there are a lot of high-end, excellent VR headsets which excel at that sort of technology. Your high resolutions, the really high quality lenses, and all that sort of thing. Small, thin form factors. This obviously is the Quest 2, and it's quite big. The Quest 3 is about that thin, much thinner if you hold the two up together.
It's a big difference.
Much more comfortable. Oh yeah, much more comfortable. This one I'm fine with, but I don't get motion sickness from anything. I could probably wear that in a jet plane doing loops and still be playing a VR at the same time. I don't get motion sick.
Fortunate.
I'm a bit of a unicorn in that term, so I can play as much VR as possible. Everybody else I've ever played with has had to take breaks every half hour or hour because I'm starting to feel sick. I'm like, come on, man, we're just getting into the game.
Just
and
push through it.
I don't think it'll make any difference, right? I don't think this Steam VR is going to do anything to alleviate that. That's just going to be a problem that people are going to have all the rest of time. No matter,
I can't see a sewer bullet for it either.
It's just the way it is. You got two flat screens in front of you simulating 3D, and it does throw your brain. I remember always falling over the first time I was using it with a higher intensity game. I went to step like I was stepping off a step or something. I can't remember what it was now, and I almost fell over because my body went, "What? This is not what's happening around me."
Clips of that on YouTube. People pranking
100%.
elderly relatives or whatever, and hey, play this roller coaster and face plant. Cool.
What happens? It happens to
It's
anybody.
natural. Yeah,
you do get used to it. You're compensated for it, but a lot of the coolest parts of VR you do lose if you get motion sickness. Sorry, and if you turn on a lot of those aids, I think that's where the experience isn't as good too. So suddenly, instead of having the smooth turning, you've got the snap turning. You have the vignette sim that always closes the view in. It doesn't look as good.
Yeah,
it really takes away from it. I can play full screen, even if the frame rate drops. Like if it gets something really intense and the frame rate drops, that throws a lot of people too. If it's not a really smooth, even frame rate, that doesn't really worry me either. So I can
we should
full
study you for science.
Yeah, I know, right? It's the only thing, it's the only superpower I've got. It's. I think it takes it away from it, and I don't think this is going to fix it.
Yeah.
I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent, but that's just the first thing I thought was people who are really enthusiasts about Steam and a VAR are definitely going to get on board. I'd be quite interested in giving it a go. I don't know if I want to pay what's probably going to be about $2,000 Australian to get my hands on one.
Well, that I think is going to be the real flag that we look for, isn't it? The price tag is going to dictate whether this thing is a success or not.
Enthusiasts will be on board with it. The people who had the index and thought it was great and didn't mind the cost, they'll be all over it, and good for them. I'm glad that they're getting a new one in their hands. I don't think it's going to get a lot of the general public to come over. It'll still be the same old problems. Still a lot of compromises if you have problems with VR.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, VR has had better legs as a market prospect than 3D ever did, for example, TVs and movies, if you remember those. But VR still hasn't quite hit that mass market appeal yet. It still hasn't quite broken through.
Nah.
And I suspect it will probably remain a somewhat niche product for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that was it's going to have the same issues, the same old issues. Nothing's going to change there. Technically, it looks brilliant. Yes, I'd like to have one. I know I probably won't pay the money for it. For the amount of real world long term use you get out of it, I'm quite happy paying the $800 for the top end version of a MetaQuest 3 if I really wanted to buy into another one. Lots of compromises. It's not as good. It's obviously coming from Meta, most of which people hate. Aren't using any of the other products.
Delve into that. That's a whole topic.
But that does I guess. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, it is interesting and I guess somewhat encouraging in some respects that Valve is still innovating or trying to innovate at least in the hardware space. The Steam machine, there's always been this argument that PC is so much harder than console because it's just plug and play versus all of the drivers and all that stuff. Ignoring the fact that a modern console is basically just a PC with a unified operating system.
Yes, it is.
The Steam machine, it's another effort to try and bridge that gap. And gaming as an industry hobby is bigger than it's ever been. So it makes sense that somebody would, and many others have tried and failed over the years, of course. Valve is probably uniquely placed to really offer a PC hardware solution, I think.
The time is probably right to give it a go. The old, even like the old console last gen or the current gen, this gen is been around for quite a long time. So bring something in
It is
when it hasn't just launched, and actually they're getting quite expensive. My only concern is probably the only thing I'd say about the machines now is, I'd be actually keen to own one. That'd be pretty cool. But they've done this before. They have released Steam machines, but they had third-party people make them, so they were very varying qualities and prices, so I never really caught on. And SteamOS has been around forever. I remember installing SteamOS on an old PC so long ago and giving it a go, and it worked fine. It was like having Steam Link running on a PC. But at the end of the day, I'm like, but why would I have this when I've already got a PC? And why would I stream my PC games over to my TV? Because it's just a generally worse experience.
Yeah. It struck me as being a product kind of looking for a problem to solve, really. So it was too niche in what it was trying to do. Whereas something like this new Steam machine is
making it themselves,
take a PC, turn it into a console. Exactly. Keep the quality consistent. The big thing is going to be the price point. That is going to be the kicker. If it's priced similarly to the top-end consoles, I could see it being quite a viable
disruptor. Under $1,000 Australian, then you're starting to talk that it's in a market. If it's under, what was this Xbox Series X? It's cheapest because it keeps on going up in price.
It does.
It keeps on going up instead of down for some bizarre reason. Probably because they've got to pay for all their AI data centers. But we're not talking about AI data centers today. So let's
not go there.
But I don't know. But yes, if it fell between $800 and $1,000, it would be, surely, if it was marketed widely, it would be a contender. People bought the Steam Deck.
Absolutely.
In big numbers.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's not going to compete with enthusiast gamers. Like you or I, for example, we build our own PCs, as do a lot of our colleagues in TOG, and there you go.
My PC is like this big.
Mine's ginormous. Off to one side here as well.
I don't do small builds.
No, and that's something that will probably never go away. But for convenience factor, ease of entry into what some people still perceive as being a very difficult gaming experience to get into, PC, it's a great entry point. But that price has got to be at a level that people can afford. Otherwise, they just buy a PS5.
Less than a single video card, right? If it's less than a single high-ish end video card, it's pretty attractive. And if they market it to go on your desktop, I think that's where they get people. Because if you market it to me to go on my TV, I'll be like, nah. Steam games. My Steam games don't go on my TV. That'd be shit with a controller. What am I going to have to get a keyboard and mouse? Exactly. And I don't play that many games that play with a controller. Exactly. If I did, I'll just play on my Xbox. So
no, I agree. Totally agree. Yeah. So it's an interesting product. It will be, I think, one to watch to see how that fits into the current state of gaming. Hopefully it's a success. Valve, as you say, have tried hardware before. Some of them worked, some of them not so well.
Great ideas. But we'll see. They've never had one take off like the Steam Deck before, so maybe the time is right. They've got one right.
So hopefully this is kind of going to follow in those footsteps to some degree. Yeah.
Agreed. Quite simply, did you want to talk about the other Valve topic? Because or did you want to talk about the privatization topic?
Well, they go hand in hand a little, don't they? Obviously, one of the bigger, well, maybe not directly hand in hand, but you could segue from one to the other, can't you?
Segue into your EA one.
So obviously big news from the last few months. We're a little bit late jumping on it, and we're not going to go into a lot of detail, but effectively a private buyout of Electronic Arts by a consortium of, let's just say, some extremely questionable characters involved with this particular deal. Some of whom I think most people would agree are not the type of people we want having control over such a large company in this manner, but that'd be capitalism for you. EA going private. That's a massive deal, $55 billion I think it was the number that was being talked about, which, if that was in my bank account, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Old, what's his name? Is it Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA? I imagine he's going to be walking away pretty happy.
Sure, he'd
but
be quite happy.
Quite happy. So
But-
obviously the deal, I think, is not slated to go through until 27-ish, thereabouts. So it's still a year or two away from being finalised.
It's got to be regulated and all that sort of thing. How does regulation work in the US nowadays, though? I don't know. I don't think they have any.
I suspect it simply depends on who pays the most. So
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be a problem.
With the biggest sack with the biggest dollar sign on the front is going to...
Precisely.
Yeah,
So it will be interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of years. Obviously, in the short term, not a lot's going to change. But considering one of the comments made by, I think it was one of the people involved or one of the groups involved in the buyout, saying that they were going to be leveraging AI resources to ensure their return on investment. I mean, that's a bit of an alarm bell for surely the developers and the staff within EA. So watch this space. But the segue, of course, from that, as most people know, Valve, of course, is privately owned, with Gabe Newell being the man in charge and basically has been from day dot. What happens when he decides to step down, retire, God forbid, passes away unexpectedly without any warning?
Correct.
He spends a lot of time in New Zealand on boats. Who knows? Anything could happen. Unfortunately, there's a big question mark around that. Is there a succession plan? There probably is. I mean, you'd have to imagine there would be. Valve is a multi-billion-dollar company that's raking in a shit ton of cash every year, which is going to make it extremely attractive for the so-called vulture capitalists.
That's the problem. Yeah,
that's the problem.
Because no matter what his succession plan is, his wishes beyond him leaving are pretty much moot. They could say, absolutely 100% we'll keep it private, and in the background there is that vulture capitalist waiting to swoop in and go, but I've got a whole bunch of capital that I want to put somewhere.
Yep, exactly right. And as we have seen countless times with large corporations running gaming development, the profit motive almost always outstrips the creative or the consumer well-being motive.
Definitely.
And there's very little really to look at with any of those big so-called AAA developers and go, yep, these guys do the right thing by the consumer, because they inevitably don't. It's all about that bottom dollar line.
Yep.
So Valve is in a very unique position there. Potentially risky, I don't know. There's got to be something that is in place. Whether they can form some kind of trust structure, I don't know. Again, US law, I don't know. New Zealand, you could form a trust around it and have a trust manage the company and effectively protect it that way. There's got to be something that he has in mind. Whether it actually holds up in future, I don't know. But given that we don't own our games as it is, the potential for some real dark days in the
this
future
ecosystem that so many people are so heavily invested in, right? So many people are heavily invested in Steam. Like, I've got friends who only play Steam games, pretty much. I've had to arm wrestle them into playing other games on another platform. Either it's cheaper or it's only available there or whatever the happenstance may be. I'll say, hey, I'm just going to pick it up on this. And they're like, I'm not going to do that because it's not on Steam.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? And we've seen that resistance with other storefronts who've tried to disrupt the marketplace. Ubisoft and EA, funnily enough, coming back to them, both went off, took all of their games off Steam, both went off into their own little walled garden, and within the last couple of years, they've both come back. The market stats show that Steam, Valve, is by default the marketplace of choice for PC gaming. Obviously, Epic, with their Epic store, have tried now for what must be going on 6 years, maybe longer.
Long time. They've been giving away free games, trying to get people to come over onto the Epic
free
platform.
Games, exclusive games. They've been bleeding money on that store, and let's be honest, the storefront itself is shite.
It's terrible.
It lacks almost all of the quality of life and functionality that you'd expect from a modern day storefront. So they're clearly 100%. Not investing in that. But for all of that money they've been throwing, it just hasn't gained the traction. Fortnite is probably the only game that's really anchored anywhere in the marketplace for them. All of these other storefronts, GOG, Good Old Games as it once was known, is probably the only one that is properly independent, but that's very niche. They only deal in very, very specific market.
They don't. They actually deal in the big market. They deal in everything. They'll sell you
very
anything.
Specific range, I should say. It's a niche range.
It's you can buy anything you buy on, most things you can buy on Steam, you can still buy on GOG. They still do modern games or whatever. But the thing is, their attractive side what you'd actually go there and what I go there for and what I buy a lot of games from GOG for is the old games. So I do buy a lot of classic
100%.
games through them. So I own them again as things that I bought in boxes 30 years ago, which I don't have anymore.
Modernise a lot
And
of
they
them
modernise
with
them
modern
too.
patches and things.
So they're still playable, which is great.
Exactly.
So and they're brilliant. They're my other platform of choice, and I use
Likewise.
I do use Game Pass, although that might not go on for much longer for reasons that I'm not going to bring up right now. I was going to look up something. I can't remember what it was. It doesn't matter. But I use another front end. I don't use Steam very much, so I use Play Night for my front end stuff. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
So every launcher that I have something in, all the way from Epic through to GOG and even Humble and Steam, of course, and some emulators I've got set up on there. They're all on Play Night now. That is my front end. When my PC starts up, Play Night pops up. I do all my stuff through there because it's got a lot of add-ons and stuff. I'm not trying to spruik the product or anything. It's just that's how I've managed it. That's why I'm not so fussed and haven't been for a while about
what thing I buy
something
on as well. Yeah, I used it a number of years ago. I think soon after it was first launched, and it was a bit flaky at the time. I used GOG Galaxy as well when that first came through for a while. The integration with extra stores wasn't so good there, but I've come back to Play Night again. Much like you, most of my content now runs through Play Night. The
plugins,
the add-ons,
it's third party. It's got the add-ons.
It's brilliant.
Some of them work really, really well. Like some of them, like player activities one, I love. And I don't want to really go on about Play Night because it wasn't on my settings to talk about, right? But that's got like an add-on that literally makes Gantt charts and breakdowns of every game you played and for how long and all the stuff you got, and you can just click through and see day by day and these little charts. And when you played things,
I don't like looking at it because the numbers that it gives me, they must be lies. They can't possibly be that high.
No, there's no way that I played like 20, 30 hours of War Thunder last week. There's just no way.
No, exactly right. You can't tell me I spent 11 hours in the Arma 3 editor the other week. Well, actually, you can because that's probably what happens every week.
No, I know you did. I'm not even going to look up my Space Engineer stats for the last couple of weeks for the sole reason that because I'm working at home and I'll start it in the morning and then it'll be running in the background and I might not even be in it. I'll just be sat myself in a chair.
Menu.
Yeah. No, I'm in the game. I do sat in a chair that's got all the resources, the power and the oxygen and whatever going to him so he doesn't die. And I might not even look at it for 2 hours, right? So I'll be off doing work.
There you go.
And I'll be, right, I'm going to make a cup of coffee and I'm going to go back and I'm going to chuck some blocks on this thing and then, take a 10-minute break. And then I'll just leave it logged in. And I don't even know why I do it. It's just, it's there. It's almost like this nice distraction in the back of my mind. Like I can go and do that whenever I want. So
yeah.
So the hours
for me, my work from home, I'm separate room, so I've got to make the physical effort to get up and come into the other room, which is a bit of a barrier at times.
It's good. It is,
but it is good for a break because it forces me to walk away. Yeah. Anyway, that's completely off topic, but I think we've got some interesting developments to well, I don't know if look forward to is perhaps the right word, but some interesting developments to come over the next few years with EA's buyout, if that goes ahead, the implications for development under the new I'm going to call it a regime because that very much describes the type of people involved. How is that going to look, particularly around the types of content that would typically be considered pretty progressive in things like The Sims 4 or what does the next Sims look like?
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, yeah, exactly right. Any of those big franchises, Dragon Age, there's a lot of question marks over how that's going to play out. And I think people are right to be a little concerned. Maybe not worried per se, but concerned about the influence and the impact.
If I was a developer working on any of those things, I'd be concerned. I don't know, you and I, maybe we'll see what happens. We'd have our own concerns about the change
concern in a personal context and more concern for the bigger picture impact that it may have.
Yeah.
Exactly. And obviously, Valve, that's been a question that's been bandied about for years. I know it's long been talked about what happens to Valve when Gabe steps aside.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever really said anything publicly. I haven't delved into to find out, but I don't think he's ever mentioned anything publicly about what plans, if any, exist. So who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Just, got to keep it in mind in the next however many years. Just be mindful of the fact that the Steam platform as we know it now might change forever. It might go away.
Could look very different.
Could be very different. We'll be looking back on this. I think I said to another friend of mine, you could be looking back on this in 20 years' time and go, remember when Steam was really awesome? There's that really big long period, but in reality, it's not that big a longer period. Like it's only been like this for 20 something years. That's not a lot of time.
Well, not even that long when you consider the original launch of Steam back with Half-Life
2. Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, it was objectively shit.
Why do I have to be connected to the internet? And why do I have to have this launcher? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Admittedly, the technology of the time probably didn't serve it terribly well because, limited internet speed and connectivity was still something of a novelty for a lot of regions.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of this new thing on the block without really being in the right time and place. But it took a few years before, obviously, they put more games on it. But it wasn't until they really opened it up to third parties that it exploded. And I mean, now you've got more games going on to Steam every year than ever before. It's insane.
Yep, 100%.
So there's a lot of money tied up in it, and I can't see anybody wanting to give that away anytime soon. It's just a question of how much they screw down on it, really.
It's just an intriguing... What if? Yeah. Nobody knows.
Speculation on the TOGcast.
I know, future speculation. Will we even be around to see it? Who knows?
That's right. We'll revisit it.
The older gamers, we might have to hand it to somebody else.
Maybe we'll just have to rename it to the I don't know, the retired gamers or something.
The retired gamers. Yeah, well, half of the guys already are retired. I hate those guys.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I am only slightly envious of a number of the guys in there who talk about how they've managed to.
I think we should ban
retire recently.
I think we should have a third rule brought in. No talking about religion or politics or retiring.
Retirement.
If you've retired, keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear it.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to see you logged into the Space Engineers server 12 hours a day doing all sorts of cool shit while I have to work.
I'm not going to name names, but some people.
Not going to name names.
Always having a good time when I have to do work.
No, more power to them. Anyway.
Absolutely. And lastly, because I've got more things to do today which revolve around gaming. So
fair.
Start talking about gaming, although I could talk about gaming all day, and we already have. So you want to talk about Tarkov?
Tarkov, yeah, kind of coming back to Tarkov a little bit there.
Specific Tarkov stuff.
Specific Tarkov stuff. Obviously launched on Steam yesterday, as we mentioned, which doesn't seem to have gone as well, perhaps, as I think a lot of people thought it might. That may change. But one of the more interesting aspects was a change with the 1.0 release. They have apparently, and this is according to the modding community, I'm not particularly versed with Tarkov modding in terms of the details, but apparently they have changed the way that the game is being assembled.
Yes.
Which, according to the SPT or single player Tarkov community, makes modding a whole lot more difficult. Now, SPT, for those who don't know, is a single-player modification. So it takes the whole Tarkov experience, which is traditionally player versus player online, and converts it into a localized single-player game. So you play against bots, you get the full game experience as you would just without cheaters and sweaty people who play it all day. There are a whole bunch of other community mods, and the second one is FIKA, which is effectively a multiplayer add-on for the single-player Tarkov, turning it into basically your own private multiplayer server, which is fantastic because again you can throw mods and quality of life stuff.
We've seen how
great. Yeah, we've seen how great that's been. But this change to the game's structure or the game files assembly seems to be potentially putting all of that at risk. The SPT guys seem pretty determined to crack on and try and push through it. But for now, they are warning that it may result in a lot of those mods that we have come to rely on. Simply never seeing the light of day with the latest version of Tarkov. So big question mark over the future of the Tarkov modding community and SPT/FIKA for private servers. Again, watch this space. I'm hopeful that they will come through with that because I'd love to be able to continue using it. But yes, it seems that Battlestate Games have decided that they would like to put a few roadblocks in place.
Apparently the story is that Battlestate have said that they didn't intentionally do this to block any modding. It's just better, and it is better to change. So instead of compiling as like a native C# thing, it compiles it into basically a C++ executable out of the C# stuff that they've been doing. This is just what I've read, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, even though I've been a programmer for a really, really long time. I don't do it for a living anymore, so I'm no longer up with how a lot of things done. But yeah, it was they had said that they hadn't done it on purpose, but it does make it extremely difficult, apparently.
Yeah,
to be able
and I can understand
access
that
them
they
since they've done.
didn't do it on purpose per se, but people always make speculation around that, won't they?
Not give a shit. Yeah, they might not
Yeah,
do that on purpose, but they might not be too concerned that it doesn't work.
they're not. I don't imagine they are. I mean, we know that BSG have been, I wouldn't say outright hostile necessarily, but
No.
certainly not supportive of SPT and FIKA.
Not supportive, yeah.
Not supportive,
definitely. It does allow you to do a lot with your base level Tarkov that you'd normally have to pay them a lot of money for.
Precisely, yes. It's
You can
a
see
bit
that
of
they'd
a
be pleased.
yeah. I can imagine it's a bit of a sore point for them at times, but we shall see. Yeah, as I say, I'm hopeful that they will manage to continue forward with SPT, but
Hopefully.
it may be that we remain on an older version for the foreseeable future.
I imagine that's the answer. I
think so. Certainly,
people
in
will
the
be running an
short
older
term,
version of Tarkov for some time, unless SPT and FIKA get it together, do get it working with the new version. But then you're going to be, I think you're going to be left without a lot of the mods. I don't
agree.
I can't see a lot of people going to the bother. That's probably going to be the kicker, where people stay on the old version forever and probably develop that out in their own way, and the new one just goes off and it's its own thing.
There may be a split in that SPT player base, those that stay on the old version and use the mods, and those that migrate to a newer version if it should exist in future.
Same support, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so an interesting development in the release, but certainly the release of Tarkov on Steam does appear to have been received a little bit flatly. So we shall see if that improves.
I'd give it a week. I'd give that a week. Good week.
I'd give that definitely a week or two before we perhaps revisit it.
Let's draw a line under all of this and let's not say like and subscribe, because I don't even know where this is going yet. This is going to go somewhere. I would love to get some sort of visual aspect in here, maybe a couple of videos something that we can describe at the same time, so it makes a bit of sense for both those who might watch it and those who might just listen to it, of which, again, probably one or two people, and we'll take it from there. Outro us out.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's the first episode of the TOGCast, as we're calling it. We will hopefully be able to continue this on a semi-regular basis, once a month or maybe once a fortnight if we're feeling particularly ambitious. Do some video content, as Gavor said, and bring in community engagement with the TOG members where we can. That would be great. Obviously, make it about TOG. So thanks for everyone who watched or listened. Apologies for having to put up with us for the last however long it's been. But hopefully we will have you join us again next time. So until then, I've been Foxman.
And I have been Gavor. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you watching or listening, and we'll catch you next time.